Practice test, page 198, part 4.
Now turn to part 4. You will hear a radio interview with an author called Oliver James. For questions 24 to 30, choose the best answer, A, B, or C. You now have 1 minute to look at part 4.
I'm sure that most of you have heard the term greasy spoon used to describe a certain type of restaurant. Our guest, Oliver James, has not only heard this expression, he decided to write a book about it, Greasy Spoon, a coast-to-coast journey across the USA. Thank you for coming to the studio today.
Thank you.
As I mentioned before, I would say that most of our listeners have heard the term greasy spoon, but might have trouble giving a definition. Can you?
A greasy spoon is a term that describes a restaurant that specializes in certain types of food, often grilled or fried. Lots of different breakfast dishes such as waffles, pancakes, eggs, that type of thing. Sandwiches too. Sometimes they're also called diners. The term greasy spoon originally implied a lack of cleanliness and attention to dishwashing, but in most cases that isn't true at all. A really nice feature of these restaurants is that many of them have a counter where you can sit and watch them prepare your food and listen to the other customers joking and exchanging gossip with the cooks and waiters.
So, tell me about your book. Is it a travel guide?
Well, yes, I suppose you could say that, but it's also a lot more. I would call it more a story of my journey across North America and a portrait of Middle America seen from the local diners that I stopped at. Rather than just giving a traditional restaurant review with dishes and prices, I also talk about the owners and the people who work there and their stories, as well as some of the conversations that I have with or overhear from other customers. As a sort of bonus, in the back of the book, I have a collection of recipes that I got from the owners and chefs who were kind enough to share them with me.
It sounds interesting. How did you get the idea for this book?
I suppose I should say that the idea sort of presented itself to me. I had always wanted to do a coast-to-coast trip across the United States, but I never had the time. When I lost my job at the bank where I'd been working, I suddenly thought, I should take this trip now, because this may be my only chance. And since I love trying out small local restaurants, I figured that I might as well write a book about it. I also hope that the sale of this book might pay for the journey, but I'm still waiting to see if it will. It takes a long time for publishing companies to pay royalties, unfortunately.
Tell me about the people you met.
It's strange. I knew that I would be travelling through a lot of small towns, and I thought that I would just meet a lot of friendly farmers and truck drivers there who didn't care about the world outside of the United States. And I did meet plenty of people who fitted that stereotype. But I also talked to quite a few who I would have thought to be big city people. I never thought, for example, that I would have dinner at the counter sitting between a doctor who spoke 4 languages and a woman who knew more about English history than I did. And that was in a very small town, mind you.
How long did the journey take you?
Just over 6 weeks. I wish I had had a bit more time and money. I don't think that anyone who really wants to get to know such a big country and its people can really consider doing it any more quickly.
Didn't you get tired of traditional American breakfasts, sandwiches and burgers?
If that had been all there was, I wouldn't have been able to write the book. I had lots of very good American breakfasts, but I was also sure to try the regional specialities for other meals. You know, it really surprised me to find out that sometimes the same dishes were quite different depending on which diner I ordered them in. Chili con carne was an example of that.
Now, you mentioned recipes earlier. Which of them are your favorites?
That is the end of part 4. There'll now be a pause of 5 minutes for you to copy your answers onto the separate answer sheet. Be sure to follow the numbering of all the questions. I'll remind you when there is 1 minute left so that you're sure to finish in time.